Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Foster, and today you're going to watch a video about the procedures when you're using computers, whether it's in the computer lab or if you're using laptops from the laptop cart. I need everyone paying attention. Students, you need to pay attention, and teachers, I need you paying attention as well because there's information in here for both students and teachers. All right, so let's get started. All right, first let's go over the computer rules, and this is whether you're in a computer lab or using the laptop carts. First of all, you should know that there's never food or drinks around computers. Liquids can damage computers to the point where they can't even be repaired. And food, it's just messy. It can get on the screen. It can get stuck in the keyboards. So we don't want any of that around the computers. So if you are going to lunch after the lab or coming from lunch, or if you're in your classroom, please make sure that lunch boxes and drinks are away from the computers, whether it's on the floor, on a shelf, on a counter, somewhere away from the computers. Rule number 2 is not to change any of the computer settings. A lot of you are very good with technology, so you do know how to move things around, change things, but do not do that. I spend a lot of time getting these computers ready for the year, and I don't want anything changed. They are the way they're supposed to be. So don't move any icons, don't move the taskbar, don't mute the volume, don't flip the screen. Basically, don't change anything. It's already set up the way it's supposed to be set up. Just use the computer program that you're supposed to. And teachers, if you can help out with this before you leave the lab or before your students close their laptops, just take a quick walk around and make sure everything on the screen is as it should be. Rule number 3 is to report problems to your teacher immediately when you get to your computer. So whether you're in the lab or whether you get your laptop in the classroom, the minute you sit down or open it up and see that there's a problem, immediately raise your hand and let your teacher know. If there's a missing key, if there's a scratch on the computer screen, anything that's a problem, immediately tell your teacher. If you do that, then we know the last person who used that computer caused that problem, and we can go to that student and take it from there. However, if you don't say anything at the end of class when the teacher checks the computers and sees that yours has a problem, they're going to believe that you did that. So this is really important that at the beginning of the computer time, you immediately tell the teacher about any problems. Rule number 4 is to handle headphones gently. This year, we did require on the supply list headphones for every single student. So if you don't have yours yet, please make sure you go home, tell your parents, grandparents, aunt, uncle, whoever you live with, to please go out and get a pair of headphones. You might actually already have some at home that you can bring in. Most people do have several pairs at home. But anyways, try to get some brought in as soon as possible if you haven't already. If you haven't brought in headphones yet, we do have some that you may borrow in the labs and with the computer carts, but you need to treat those just as gently as if they were your own headphones. Because if you damage the school headphones, your teacher is going to give you a consequence, and your teacher is going to know if you damage them, because when you return them to the bin at the end of class time, if they're damaged, you did it. Because remember, if they were already damaged, you would have told your teacher already, and we would have handled that. So teachers, I really need your help with this. There should not be very many kids who are in this situation. So the few kids who do turn their headphones in at the end of class, check them, make sure they're okay. If they're not okay, that student needs a consequence. If it continues to happen more than once, then that student does need to see an administrator because they are damaging school property and it's becoming a repetitive issue. So there then needs to be an even bigger consequence. So students, let's not even worry about this. Just take good care of the headphones. Even if you have your own headphones, take good care of them because they need to last you throughout the year. And if you do break your own headphones, then your parents will have to get you another pair. Speaking of headphones, for the students who do need to borrow them, teachers in the computer labs, you will find these blue bins for the students to borrow from. They're going to take a pair at the beginning of computer time. At the end of computer time, they're going to gently wrap the cord around the bottom of the headphones and return it to the bin. Before they do that, you'll check it really quickly to make sure they're okay. And again, they need to be provided a consequence if they are damaged. These will also be on the laptop cart. All right, students, this is what I'm talking about with wrapping the cord gently around the bottom of the headphones where the ear cushions are. And you're going to do that every time so that the cords don't get all tangled up in the headphone bin. Okay, if you brought your own headphones or if you're borrowing them, either way, you're going to need to plug headphones in to a laptop or into a desktop computer if you're in the high stakes lab or if you're in the media center lab. And I've tried to make it easier for you by highlighting the outlet, the headphone outlet, with bright green Sharpie. So for most of the laptops, the headphone jack is on the right side of the laptop, and you'll just look for that bright green circle, and that is where you gently put in your headphones. If you are in the high stakes lab, the computer base is under the desk, slightly to the right or the left, and then you're going to look for the green circle, and that's where you will plug in your headphones. It depends on the computer. Some of them are on the top, some of them are on the bottom. I've checked every single one, and all you need to do is just plug it into the green circle. That's the one that works. Rule number 5 is to type and click gently on the computers. It doesn't take much pressure to type or click. So just use nice gentle clicking when you're typing in on the keyboard. If you're using the mouse, just click gently. If the mouse isn't working for some reason, don't bang it on the table. A lot of times I hear that in Host. And students, if you're in Host using the computer lab, all of these rules still apply to you. So even though a teacher from our school is not there, you still need to be following these rules. If your mouse isn't working, banging it on the desk isn't going to make matters any better. It's going to make things worse. So in that situation, you need to raise your hand, and we'll get that taken care of. So please be gentle with the keyboard and the mouse. Speaking of the keyboards, unfortunately last year we were having quite a bit of problem with students pulling keys off the laptop keyboards. This was becoming a big issue. I was getting very, very aggravated with it because that's not an accident. Those laptop keys, students, do not fall off. It takes a pretty good amount of pressure to pull those keys off. So if somebody's doing that, they're doing it on purpose, and they are damaging school property on purpose, and that is completely unacceptable. So teachers, I really need your help with this. Before students close the laptops, if you're using the laptop cart, I need you to walk quickly around and look at everybody's keyboard and make sure all the keys are there. If they're not, that person needs a big consequence, because that's just unacceptable to be damaging our computers that way. Same thing in the laptop labs. Take a quick walk around each laptop before your students leave the lab to make sure we're not missing any keys. That's a big problem, and if it persists, we're going to get to the point where we have to take away the laptop carts, and that's not good for anyone. So students, don't do this. And lastly, just keep your area tidy, straighten up after yourself before you leave one of the labs. I find a lot of pencils, papers. Ladies, sometimes you take off your earrings because the headphones kind of bother you when you're wearing earrings. So before you leave your spot, make sure you have all of that stuff and take it with you. And if you do have any trash around your area, that needs to be thrown away. One of the biggest things I'm talking about here is used tissues, which is pretty nasty. Nobody wants to come in and find your used tissues sitting next to a computer. So please, as you're exiting the lab, take your tissue with you and throw it in the garbage. All right, before you leave the lab, once again, clean your area, push in your chairs. Teachers, make sure the students are doing this. Throw away your trash, return borrowed headphones for the students who did borrow those. If you are in a laptop lab, please leave the lids open. Don't close them because then the next class that comes in has to take time to open them, probably type in the username and password again. And also if the lids are closed at night, they don't get updates. So leave the laptop lids open if you're in a lab. And teachers, this is new this year. You're going to have a checklist on the door that'll just take a couple seconds for you to check off that everything's in its proper order. And this is what the lab should look like before you leave because you've pushed in chairs and cleaned everything up. Teachers, you might even want to have a classroom job of tech helpers or lab monitors or something along those lines. I know you're busy watching the class, checking those headphones that are being turned in. So maybe you have some monitors, some tech monitors who go around and make sure all the chairs are pushed in, areas are cleaned, that sort of thing. All right, here's that teacher checklist I was talking about. This is going to be hanging on the door. So when you leave the lab, just jot down your name, jot down the date, check off that the desks areas are clean and the chairs are pushed in, all the headphones have been returned and they're all working, and all computers are working. Teachers, remember, I don't come into the labs unless I know there's a problem. So if there is a problem, I need to know about it. Otherwise, if you haven't told me, I have no way of knowing. And the way you're going to do that, remember, is with that new online form that we have. So if any of the computers are not working, then you are going to fill out that online form for me. I have the QR code in the lab next to the door. And if you don't have time to do that right away in the lab, then get back to class and let me know by filling out that form what the issue is, and I will fix it as soon as possible. All right, let's move on to talking about the laptops a little bit. When you have the laptop cart, teachers, first thing you need to do is grab one of these student rosters that's inside the door of the laptop cart, and you're going to assign each student a computer number, and that student's going to use the same computer every single time. And then once you've made this list up, I need a copy of it. And the reason students and teachers that we're doing this is, again, if there are any problems with the computer, if it's computer number 4, we're going to look at the list and see who had computer number 4, and we know that's the person who caused the issue. So teachers, that's why this is very important for you to fill out, stick to it, and make sure that I get a copy. All right, there's also a checkout chart on the computer, the top of the laptop cart, teachers, that you fill out each time you use it. You fill out your name, the date, verify that all of the computers were returned to the cart. It'll tell you how many should be in there, and sign it when you're done. Sometimes teachers last year were writing computer problems on this paper, and that teachers doesn't accomplish anything because I don't see these papers. You guys have the carts all the time pretty much, so I don't see this paper and see any issues. Again, any issues with laptops need to be filled out on the online form so that I can handle those problems. Fill this out each time, and again, send me the form. Do not put tech issues on this sheet. If I ever have any of the computers, I will put a post-it note on the cart, or I'll ask a team member to do that for me so that you know how many computers should be in the cart. All right, look at this laptop cart, everyone. This is the way the carts should always look when you get them and when you return them. Each computer has a numbered slot. It might be a little bit hard to see here, but all of these numbers going down the edge tell you which computer should be there. So for instance, this says number 11 right here. So this computer should be number 11. Make sure it's in the proper way where the plug can be plugged in at the top, and take good care of it. Make sure that each computer is in the correct slot. Make sure that the charger that's right above it is plugged into it. Sometimes I happen to get the computer carts back for testing or whatever the case may be, and they do not look like this. There's computers upside down, not even plugged in. There's computers in the wrong slot. There are computer cords up here trying to plug into computers down here, or computer cords over here going over here. So let's not treat our technology that way. Let's make sure it looks like this every time. Now, it's really important, whoever has the cart, make sure those computers are plugged in. And at the end of the day, make sure the cart is plugged in so that it's ready for the next person the next day. And take a peek behind the laptop cart and make sure that the red light is on. Sometimes this little switch might get flicked off, and if it's off, even if the cart's plugged in, it's not going to charge. And again, teachers, this can be tech helpers. If you have tech helpers in your class, that can be their job to make sure the cart's plugged in, the light's on. We all need to work together to make sure the person who gets the next cart the next day actually has computers that are charged and ready to go. And again, look for the green circle when you need to plug your headphones into a laptop. Computer cart, teachers, there are some helpful resources for you. The first thing is a troubleshooting guide. Teachers don't realize a lot of times with these laptops, like if the mouse doesn't work or if the screen is black, there's a button you can click to fix those issues. So if there's a problem with the computers, look on top of the cart, and most of those issues can be fixed with these shortcuts. And I also have posters in the laptop labs with the same information. So if you're in a laptop lab and your computers are having issues, please check this troubleshooting tip chart. And if any of that doesn't fix it, then always fill out the online form for me. Also on top of the cart is a computer login sheet. So depending on what you're doing, you might log in different ways. For iReady, for instance, you're going to log in the computer with iReady and the password is password. That will take you right to the testing kiosk. If you're using School City, that's a different login and password. So always check this sheet if you need help remembering what those are. If you're just doing research or doing a project, just log in with 0065 student. Do not have the students log into the computers with their lunch number and password. I know that does give them a student drive to save their work. However, these student computers, they can't handle a lot of different people signing into them. It actually takes up a lot of space on the hard drive, and then the computers can't get any updates. So just when you're doing anything other than iReady or testing, log in with 0065 student. But if you want to have them save their work to a place where they can always come back to it, that's where you use Office 365. The students have the ability to use that. And if you would like a lesson on that, get with me and we can definitely set that up for you. All right, students and teachers. Our theme this year is Choose to Be, and when it comes to using computers, I need everybody to choose to be respectful and responsible with our school technology. We have over 1,000 students at our school. That's a lot of people using the computers, and if we're all using them correctly, they will work and be available to us to use. If we have people not using them correctly and mistreating them, then we don't have enough computers, and that's a big problem for us. So teachers and students, I need all of us to work together and do our part to make sure that our school computers are working, and then we won't have any problems. So let's be responsible, follow all of these rules and procedures, and we should be good to go. Thank you, everyone.